Archangel Michael says your soulmate is currently 5 miles away from your house. God is orchestrating a random meeting in 2 hours. Openness for the location. This is not a casual message. This is not entertainment. This is not something you stumbled upon by accident while scrolling through your day. This is a divine interruption. Right now, at this very moment, heaven is leaning in close to your life. Archangel Michael stands as a guardian over divine timing, and he declares that the person who carries a piece of your future is closer than you think, closer than your fears, closer than your doubts, closer than the distance you've imagined separates you from love. 5 miles. Not across the country. Not in another lifetime. 5 miles from your house. You may feel your heart beating differently as you hear this. You may sense something shifting inside you. That is because when God speaks about proximity, it is never random. Distance in the natural realm mirrors readiness in the spiritual realm. For years, perhaps you have prayed for companionship. You have asked heaven if the loneliness would end. You have wondered whether the promises whispered to your spirit would ever manifest in physical reality. And now, suddenly, the message is specific. 5 miles. 2 hours. This is not vague. This is precise. Archangel Michael is not the author of confusion. When he delivers a word, it comes with clarity and urgency. There is a divine orchestration happening behind scenes you cannot see. Roads are aligning. Schedules are shifting. Conversations are being delayed or canceled. Someone may be deciding to stop at a place they don't usually go. Someone may be stepping out of their home without realizing they are stepping into destiny. And you, yes, you, were guided to hear this at exactly the right time because heaven does not announce movement unless preparation has already begun. The phrase random meeting may sound ordinary, but in the kingdom of God, nothing is random. What appears accidental is often prophetic. The cafe visit that feels spontaneous, the quick trip to the store, the unexpected errand, these are the disguises divine appointments wear. God rarely announces miracles with thunder. Often, he wraps them in normal moments. That is why this message is urgent. In 2 hours, something is scheduled in the spirit realm. A crossing of paths, a glance, a conversation starter that seems small but carries eternal weight. You might be questioning, why now? Because timing is everything. Heaven does not move based on your impatience, but it does move according to completion. Something in your life has recently shifted. A season closed. A lesson finalized. A wound healed more than you realized. There has been internal growth you didn't celebrate because it felt quiet. But heaven recorded it. Archangel Michael has been watching over your battles. Battles of faith, battles of self-worth, battles of letting go of what was never meant to stay. And now, because you have crossed an invisible threshold, proximity has been activated. 5 miles is symbolic of closeness that demands action. Is near enough that you can reach it. Near enough that obedience matters. Near enough that staying inside your comfort zone could cause you to miss what God has aligned. This is why you were prompted to open this message. This is why your spirit felt a pull. The urgency is not meant to create fear. It is meant to awaken awareness. When heaven says 2 hours, it is not to pressure you. It is to prepare you. There are moments in life when destiny whispers before it speaks loudly. This is a whisper wrapped in a warning and a promise. Do not dismiss today as ordinary. Do not brush aside the inner nudge that tells you something is different about this afternoon or evening. When Archangel Michael delivers a message of timing, it means the spiritual realm has already moved pieces into position. You are not chasing love. Love is being positioned within reach. And understand this clearly. The enemy attacks what threatens him. If you have felt resistance lately, unusual mood shifts, distractions, sudden tiredness, random discouragement, it may be because a breakthrough in companionship carries power. A godly union shifts atmospheres. It creates strength, agreement, multiplication. So resistance often increases right before alignment manifests. But this time, heaven is announcing it ahead of time so you do not shrink back. Right now, 5 miles from where you sleep, from where you pray, from where you have cried and hoped and believed, someone is living their day unaware that in 2 hours their path may intersect with yours. God is orchestrating details you could never script. And Archangel Michael is standing guard over this appointment, ensuring that what is meant to happen will not be easily stolen, unless you choose not to move when prompted. This is why this message matters. This is why it feels intense. Because divine timing does not knock twice in the same way. When heaven highlights a window, it is because preparation has met opportunity. The question is not whether God can arrange it. He already has. The question is whether you will recognize the sacredness of what appears ordinary. 5 miles. 2 hours. A random meeting that is not random at all. This is your moment of awareness. Heaven has spoken. There is a reason this message did not pass you by. Out of all the voices online, out of all the distractions competing for your attention, something made you stop here. Something made you listen. And that something is not coincidence. It is confirmation. Archangel Michael does not send announcements without first preparing the heart that is meant to receive them. If this word has found you, it is because your spirit was already tuned to the frequency of expectation. Have you felt restless today? Not anxious exactly, but unsettled. As if something is about to happen, and you cannot explain why. That subtle stirring in your chest is often how divine timing announces itself. Before heaven shifts your location physically, it shifts you internally. You may have caught yourself thinking about love unexpectedly. Memories of past relationships may have surfaced, not to hurt you, but to remind you how far you have come. You may have even sensed a quiet hope rising again, hope you thought you buried after disappointment. These are not random emotional waves. They are signals. Perhaps today has felt slightly different from your usual routine. Maybe you woke up earlier than normal. Maybe you changed your outfit at the last minute. Maybe you felt prompted to clean your space, to prepare yourself, or to step outside even when you did not originally plan to. These subtle nudges are often how God repositions us without overwhelming us. He does not always shout instructions. Sometimes he whispers direction through small impulses that feel almost casual. You might also notice unusual interruptions. A delayed appointment. A canceled plan. Traffic that routed you another way. Conversations that ended sooner than expected. When divine appointments are being arranged, the path must be cleared. What feels like inconvenience may actually be divine protection, ensuring you are free at the exact hour heaven has scheduled. And then there is the repeating thought, the one that will not leave you alone. The quiet question, what if my person is closer than I think? That thought did not originate from doubt. It was planted as preparation. Archangel Michael often brings awareness before manifestation so that you will not miss what is placed directly in front of you. When the heart begins to anticipate without visible evidence, it is usually because the evidence is already forming. You may even feel a renewed desire to look your best today, not out of insecurity but out of readiness. That gentle urge to present yourself with confidence is not vanity, it is alignment. When God prepares a meeting, He prepares both participants. While you are listening to this message, Someone else may be feeling the same unexplained pull to step out, to go somewhere slightly outside their routine. This is how you know this message is not generic. It feels personal. It feels specific. It feels like it is describing your exact emotional landscape. That is because prophetic timing speaks directly to the one it is meant for. If nothing inside you resonates, you would have already moved on. But you are still here. And that matters. Let me ask you something deeper. Have you recently felt closure? A quiet acceptance about someone from your past? A release from bitterness you once carried? When heaven prepares to bring someone new, it often seals the old chapter first. Not with drama, not with noise, but with peace. If you have felt an unusual calm about what once hurt you, that is a major sign that your heart has been repositioned for something healthier. And here is another indicator: heightened awareness. You may suddenly feel more observant, more intuitive, more sensitive to atmosphere. This is spiritual alertness. Archangel Michael heightens discernment before divine crossings. When the moment comes, you will need to recognize it quickly. If this is resonating in your spirit, don't stay silent. Engage with this word. Like this video as a declaration that you are ready for divine alignment. Comment "I am ready" if you feel this confirmation settling in your heart. Subscribe to this channel if you want to stay aligned with prophetic timing and spiritual preparation. And share this message with someone who has been praying for confirmation about love, because sometimes obedience begins with agreement. When you interact, you are not just supporting a video, you are making a statement in the spiritual realm that you receive what God is orchestrating. Faith is often activated through action. A simple response can be a powerful agreement. Understand this: signs are never sent to entertain you. They are sent to prepare you. The restlessness, the repeated thoughts, the subtle schedule changes, the inner readiness, these are all pieces of a larger orchestration. 5 miles is close enough that the meeting can happen naturally. 2 hours is soon enough that preparation must happen now. The question is not whether the signs are present. The question is whether you are paying attention. 5 miles is not random. In the natural world, it sounds small. It sounds ordinary. It sounds like a short drive, a quick errand, a casual distance between 2 points on a map. But in the spiritual realm, numbers and proximity carry meaning. Archangel Michael did not emphasize details unless those details hold revelation. When heaven says your soulmate is currently 5 miles away from your house, it is not poetic exaggeration. It is prophetic precision. The number 5 has long represented grace, divine favor, that you did not earn but were chosen to receive. Grace is what carries you into rooms you did not qualify for. Grace is what protects you from delays you deserved. Grace is what restores opportunities you thought were permanently lost. So when the distance is 5 miles, heaven is whispering that this connection will not be forced. It will not be manipulated. It will unfold under grace. Think about that. 5 miles means the blessing is near enough to access, but not so close that it falls into your lap without participation. God rarely delivers destiny without requiring movement. He invites cooperation. 5 miles means you may have to step outside. You may have to get in your car. You may have to say yes to an invitation. You may have to follow that quiet nudge that tells you to go somewhere specific. Grace opens the door, but obedience walks through it. Distance also represents readiness. If your soulmate were 5 states away, the process would require seasons of preparation, relocation, and long waiting. But 5 miles, that signals alignment. It signals that both lives are already positioned in the same region, breathing the same air, moving within overlapping circles. It means God has been arranging geography long before you realized it. There is something powerful about knowing that while you have been living your daily routine, working, resting, praying, growing, someone within a 5-mile radius has been doing the same. You may have passed the same streets without knowing. You may have visited the same stores on different days. You may have stood in the same spaces hours apart. That is not coincidence. That is orchestration in motion. And here is the deeper revelation. Proximity increases spiritual resistance. The closer you get to a breakthrough, the more distractions attempt to cloud your focus. Have you noticed subtle distractions recently? Sudden doubts. A temptation to stay home when you normally would go out. That is because 5 miles means activation is near. The spiritual atmosphere shifts when destiny draws close. 2 hours from now is not a symbolic phrase. It is a window. Heaven operates in appointed moments. There are times when blessings hover, waiting for alignment between divine timing and human movement. This is one of those moments. The distance has closed. The time has narrowed. The opportunity is forming. But you must understand something critical. God does not force encounters. He prepares them. If both hearts are positioned and both individuals respond to subtle direction, the meeting unfolds naturally. If one ignores the prompting, the window can pass. Grace creates the opportunity, but awareness sustains it. That is why this message is reaching you before the hour strikes. Archangel Michael is not just announcing proximity. He is awakening perception. You are being alerted so that when the moment arrives, you recognize its weight. A simple decision, whether to step out or stay in, whether to engage in conversation or remain silent, can determine whether destiny activates today or waits for another cycle. 5 miles also means confirmation is closer than fear. You do not have to travel across oceans. You do not have to reinvent yourself. You do not have to become someone else to be worthy. The person aligned with your future is already within reachable distance of who you are right now. That is grace. And here is what makes this even more profound. While you are hearing this, they may also be feeling an unexplainable pull. A thought to visit a place they rarely go. A decision to leave earlier or later than usual. Divine alignment does not require both parties to have full understanding. It only requires willingness. So as the 2-hour window approaches, prepare your spirit. Release overthinking. Release skepticism. Release the urge to dismiss this as imagination. The distance matters because it proves something has shifted. You are not waiting for love to enter your city someday. Love is already within your atmosphere. Hold this carefully, because what comes next will define how this encounter unfolds. The exact type of location where this meeting is likely to happen will surprise you, and you will be glad you stayed to hear it. Before we continue, seal this moment with faith. Type grace within reach in the comments if this resonates with you. Blessing code 451 is now activated over your path. As this revelation settles into your spirit, understand that this message is more than information. It is ignition. When you sow into the spreading of God's word, you become part of someone else's 5-mile miracle. The Lord declares, as you pour out, I will cause rivers to rise around you. This is your moment to act in faith. I am inviting you to stand with this mission so that more hearts can be awakened before their divine appointments pass them by. Through super thanks, membership, or a PayPal seed through the link in the description or the QR code on your screen, you are lighting lamps in places you may never physically enter. Do not delay what heaven is prompting. As you give, may grace multiply back into your own relationships, your home, and your future. Step into obedience now and activate the harvest attached to your generosity. Before any divine encounter manifests in the physical world, it is first prepared in the spirit. Nothing God ordains happens without inner alignment. If your soulmate is 5 miles away and a meeting is being orchestrated within hours, then preparation is already taking place inside you, even if you do not fully recognize it yet. Archangel Michael does not simply announce proximity, he assists in purification. Because when destiny approaches, your heart must be steady enough to receive it. The greatest mistake people make is assuming that preparation is about appearance alone. Yes, presentation matters. Yes, confidence matters. But heaven looks deeper than clothing and outward expression. Spiritual preparation is about emotional readiness. It is about whether you have truly released the weight of yesterday so that you can hold the promise of tomorrow. Think about the battles you have faced in love, the disappointments, the silence, the prayers that felt unanswered. Those seasons were not punishment, they were refinement. Each heartbreak carved wisdom into you. Each delay strengthened your discernment. You may have cried through nights wondering why love seemed distant, but heaven was not withholding, it was shaping. Archangel Michael stands as a warrior over transitions. When one chapter closes and another begins, he guards the crossing point. That means if this encounter is divinely orchestrated, then certain spiritual obstacles must be cleared before it unfolds. Fear must loosen its grip. Insecurity must quiet its voice. Comparison must release its hold. You cannot step into a healthy union while still believing you are unworthy of one. Right now, examine your internal dialogue. Are you telling yourself that you are ready? Or are you secretly rehearsing reasons why it could fail? Preparation means silencing the narrative of defeat before the meeting even happens. It means choosing expectation over doubt. Heaven does not align two people for destruction. If God is orchestrating this, it carries purpose. Another part of preparation is forgiveness. Not necessarily reconciliation with someone from your past, but emotional release. If resentment still burns, it will cloud perception. If bitterness still lingers, it will distort interpretation. Divine meetings require clear vision. That is why you may have recently felt prompted to let go of certain memories. Not because they did not matter, but because they no longer serve where you are going. And then there is obedience in small things. Perhaps you have felt nudged to organize your space, to complete a task you have been postponing, to respond to a message, to step outside your routine. These are not meaningless impulses. They are subtle alignments. When God prepares a meeting, He often adjusts small details so that larger moments can unfold smoothly. Energy also matters. The atmosphere you carry into a room influences how others experience you. If you walk in guarded, withdrawn, or distracted, you may unintentionally block connection. But if you walk in grounded and open, you create space for conversation to breathe. Spiritual preparation includes cultivating peace before the encounter occurs. This is why timing feels intense right now. The 2-hour window is not only about geography, it is about posture. You are being invited to position yourself mentally and spiritually. Not with desperation, but with dignity. Not with anxiety, but with awareness. There is also something powerful about physical readiness. Sometimes preparation looks practical. Choosing what to wear thoughtfully. Grooming with intention. Carrying yourself with quiet confidence. Not to impress, but to honor the possibility that this day holds significance. When you treat a day as sacred, you move differently within it. Understand this clearly. Divine encounters are rarely dramatic in their introduction. They begin with simple exchanges. A question, a shared laugh, a comment about something ordinary. But beneath the surface of that simplicity, destiny recognizes destiny. And if your spirit is cluttered with fear, you may miss the subtle spark of familiarity. Preparation also means slowing down. If you rush through your next outing distracted by your phone or overwhelmed by internal noise, you may overlook the moment. Awareness is part of readiness. Be present. Look up. Make eye contact. Listen when someone speaks. These small acts create the doorway for connection to grow. And here is something deeper. Confidence is not arrogance. It is agreement with how God sees you. If heaven believes you are ready for a soulmate encounter, then you must begin to see yourself as ready too. Not perfect, not flawless, but prepared. Right now, before the clock moves further, take a quiet breath. Release tension from your shoulders. Let expectation replace anxiety. Tell yourself that whatever unfolds is under divine supervision. Archangel Michael does not declare proximity unless protection is already in place. You are not chasing love tonight. You are aligning with it. You are not forcing destiny. You are cooperating with it. The spiritual groundwork has been laid. The internal refinement has been happening quietly for longer than you realized. And as you prepare outwardly in the next moments, remember that the true preparation has already been unfolding within you. The countdown has already begun. The moment this message reached your ears, the clock in the spiritual realm intensified its movement. 2 hours may seem like a short span in your daily routine, but in heaven's orchestration, 2 hours can hold a lifetime of change. When Archangel Michael declares timing with this level of precision, it signals that preparation is no longer theoretical, it is active. Right now, unseen adjustments are unfolding around you. God does not operate in panic. He does not rush to assemble blessings at the last minute. Every divine appointment is layered with intention. What feels sudden in your world has been carefully aligned long before this day. While you were living your ordinary schedule, working, resting, thinking, healing, heaven was coordinating details. People's movements, emotional readiness, protection from distractions. The spiritual realm does not guess, it executes. In these next 2 hours, you are not simply waiting. You are participating in a synchronized unfolding. Somewhere within 5 miles, another life is moving according to quiet nudges. They may not know why they feel restless. They may not understand why they are reconsidering their plans. But subtle impressions are guiding them just as they are guiding you. Divine alignment rarely feels dramatic before it happens. It feels natural, almost casual. That is how God preserves authenticity. There is also spiritual resistance, being restrained during this window. Whenever destiny approaches manifestation, opposing forces attempt distraction. You might notice unusual thoughts trying to convince you to cancel your plans. You may feel sudden tiredness or a desire to isolate. These are not random mood shifts. They are subtle attempts to delay participation. But Archangel Michael stands as a guardian over appointed time. What is ordained cannot be easily intercepted unless you surrender to hesitation. Think back over your day. Were there interruptions that shifted your schedule? A delayed meeting? A canceled appointment? A routed drive? What if those inconveniences were divine recalibrations? Sometimes God removes you from one place to position you for another. Protection does not always look dramatic. Often it looks like a minor frustration that later proves essential. The spiritual realm is also lining atmosphere. Atmosphere matters more than we realize. A divine meeting requires emotional balance on both sides. That means heaven stabilizes internal storms before crossing paths. If you have felt unusually calm today, even in situations that normally trigger you, that is not accidental. It is preparation. Peace is the soil where healthy connection grows. As the minutes pass, invisible synchronization is taking place. Imagine two rivers flowing separately, gradually bending toward the same intersection point. They do not crash violently into each other. They merge at the right curve. That curve is forming now. Every step you take within these next hours carries weight. You may feel prompted to go somewhere specific: a grocery store, a cafe, a gas station, a park, a familiar street. Do not overanalyze it. Divine direction often feels subtle. It rarely announces itself with thunder. Instead, it whispers repeatedly until you respond. If a location keeps entering your thoughts gently, pay attention. If a friend invites you somewhere unexpectedly, consider it carefully. If you suddenly remember an errand you postponed, that memory may not be random. At the same time, maintain emotional steadiness. Do not allow imagination to outrun reality. The meeting, if it unfolds as ordained, will appear simple. A glance, a question, a shared moment of timing. Destiny rarely introduces itself with fireworks. It introduces itself with familiarity. There is also divine protection active in this countdown. Not every potential encounter qualifies as destiny. That is why Archangel Michael's involvement matters. Protection ensures that what unfolds carries peace rather than confusion. When something is orchestrated by God, it will not feel forced. It will not feel manipulative. It will not require you to abandon your values. Instead, it will align naturally with who you are becoming. In these 2 hours, you are being asked to remain aware, not anxious; alert, not obsessed; expectant, not desperate. There is a difference. Desperation chases outcomes. Expectation receives them. The spiritual realm responds more powerfully to calm faith than frantic effort. You may even notice time feeling slightly accelerated. When destiny approaches, minutes can feel charged with anticipation. Do not interpret that sensation as pressure. Interpret it as readiness. Heaven would not announce proximity unless alignment had already matured to this point. Remember this clearly: God factors in human imperfection. If this meeting is ordained, it does not depend on flawless execution. It depends on willingness. A simple yes to stepping outside. A simple openness to conversation. A simple awareness that today is not entirely ordinary. The 2-hour window is narrowing, but it is not closing in fear. It is opening in possibility. Movement is happening beyond your sight. Paths are adjusting. Timing and timing. Protection is encircling. And very soon, what has been arranged in silence may step into visibility. Stay steady. Stay aware. An extraordinary moment could carry extraordinary consequence. Now we come to the question your spirit has been quietly asking since the beginning: where? If your soulmate is 5 miles away, if the meeting is divinely orchestrated within hours, then the location matters. But here is the surprising truth: when God arranges destiny, He often hides it inside the ordinary. The location will not necessarily be dramatic. It will not require a grand stage. In fact, it is likely to unfold in a place you have visited before. Divine meetings rarely happen in isolation. They happen in motion. That means you must be willing to move. The location is not about a secret set of coordinates whispered from heaven. It is about awareness within your daily environment. Think about the places within 5 miles of your home that feel natural to you. The grocery store you visit weekly. The cafe where you occasionally sit. The gas station you stop at without thinking. The park where you walk to clear your mind. The bookstore. The pharmacy. The small local shop you almost overlook. These are not random spaces. They are intersections. God often uses familiar territory because it removes pressure. When you step into a place that already feels comfortable, you are more relaxed. When you are relaxed, you are authentic. And authenticity is essential when destiny introduces itself. A divine encounter does not need perfection. It needs presence. Pay attention to any place that gently stands out in your thoughts right now. Not in a loud, overwhelming way, but subtly. Perhaps a location you have not visited in a while comes to mind. Perhaps you suddenly feel the urge to grab coffee even if you were not planning to. Perhaps you remember an errand you delayed earlier in the week. These quiet reminders may carry direction. The meeting itself may appear simple. You may reach for the same item at the same time. You may hold a door open. You may stand in the same checkout line. Eye contact may linger a second longer than usual. There may be a natural conversation starter, something small, even ordinary. But beneath its simplicity, there will be something different. A sense of calm, a flicker of familiarity, a recognition that does not rely on logic. Do not expect a dramatic announcement in the sky. Expect a feeling. When destiny aligns, there is often a subtle peace instead of chaos. You will not feel confused. You will not feel pressured. There will be ease in the interaction, even if nerves flutter slightly beneath the surface. Yours are human. Peace is divine. It is also important that you look up. In this generation, distraction is the greatest thief of divine moments. If your eyes remain fixed on your phone, if your attention is consumed by internal noise, you could miss a glance that was meant to spark connection. Awareness is your responsibility. Heaven orchestrates, you observe. There is another detail you must understand. The location may not be somewhere glamorous. It may be practical, even mundane. Destiny does not always arrive in beautiful settings. Sometimes it meets you between responsibilities. That is why obedience matters. If you feel the nudge to step out for something simple, do not dismiss it because it seems insignificant. Many life-altering meetings begin in ordinary errands. You may also sense timing shifts slightly. Perhaps you arrive earlier than usual. Perhaps you are delayed by a few minutes. Those adjustments are not mistakes. They are alignments. Trust the flow. Do not rush unnecessarily. Do not drag your feet in hesitation. Move naturally, but move attentively. And here is something profound. You do not need to search every location within 5 miles. You do not need to drive in circles hoping to stumble upon destiny. The right location will feel right in the moment. It will align with your normal rhythm, not fight against it. When something is orchestrated by God, it does not require frantic effort. It requires responsive faith. If you choose to stay home out of fear or doubt, you limit opportunity. If you step out in quiet expectation, you expand possibility. The location reveal is less about a pinpoint on a map and more about a posture of movement. Within 5 miles, there are countless intersections, but only one is divinely synchronized for this window. To prepare to move. Prepare to observe. Prepare to engage in small conversation if prompted. Prepare to trust that what feels simple may carry sacred design. The place will not announce itself loudly, but your spirit will recognize when something feels different. Within these next hours, an ordinary setting could become the birthplace of an extraordinary chapter. When the moment finally unfolds, recognition will not come with a loud announcement. There will be no visible label floating above their head declaring, "This is the one." Instead, recognition will rise quietly within you. It will be subtle, steady, and deeply internal. Many people expect destiny to feel explosive, but when God orchestrates a meeting, the first evidence is usually peace. You must understand something important. Attraction and alignment are not the same. Attraction can feel urgent, overwhelming, even chaotic. It can cause your thoughts to race and your emotions to spike. But spiritual alignment carries calm authority. It does not rush you. It does not pressure you. It does not demand that you become someone else in order to be accepted. Instead, it allows you to settle into yourself more fully. When you meet the person heaven has aligned for you, your nervous system will often tell you before your mind does. There may be nerves, yes, but beneath those nerves there will be steadiness. Your breathing will not feel restricted. Your thoughts will not feel scrambled. You will not feel the need to impress or perform. You will feel surprisingly natural. That natural feeling is one of the clearest indicators. Conversation will unfold without force. Words will not feel trapped in your throat. Even if there are small pauses, they will not feel heavy or awkward. Silence will feel comfortable rather than threatening. There will be a rhythm to the exchange, like two people who unknowingly learned the same emotional language through different journeys. Another powerful sign is safety. Pay attention to how your body responds in their presence. Do you feel guarded or do you feel open? Do you feel evaluated or do you feel seen? A divinely aligned connection will not make you shrink. It will not make you question your worth. Instead, it will gently affirm it. You will sense respect in their tone, in their posture, in the way they listen. Respect is not dramatic, but it is unmistakable. Notice whether they allow you space to speak. Notice whether their eyes remain attentive rather than distracted. Notice whether their energy feels grounded rather than erratic. Destiny does not arrive in confusion. It arrives in clarity. You may also feel a strange familiarity. Not the kind that suggests you have met before, but the kind that suggests your spirits recognize shared values. Perhaps you discover common lessons learned through hardship. Perhaps you notice similar priorities about faith, family, or growth. These parallels will not feel forced. They will surface naturally in conversation, like pieces of a puzzle quietly fitting together. Another spiritual marker is emotional steadiness after the interaction. If this meeting is purely surface-level attraction, it may leave you anxious. You may replay every word, analyzing whether you said the right thing. You may feel urgency to control the outcome. But when God aligns a connection, there will be curiosity without panic. You will reflect on the conversation with calm interest, not fear. Discernment also requires that you listen inwardly. Beneath excitement, what is your intuition saying? Is there a quiet confirmation? Or is there a subtle warning trying to get your attention? Divine alignment always includes peace. Even if the future is unknown, the present moment will feel clean and unforced. Iconic and carry profound significance. There may be a brief moment when your eyes meet and time seems to slow slightly. Not in a dramatic cinematic way, but in a subtle pause, a flicker of recognition, a shared awareness. These micro moments often carry more weight than long conversations. It is also important not to confuse intensity with destiny. Some connections feel powerful because they awaken old wounds or unresolved patterns. That intensity can masquerade as chemistry. But spiritually aligned relationships do not reopen chaos. They reinforce healing. You will not feel triggered into insecurity. You will feel invited into stability. You may notice that you are inspired rather than intimidated, encouraged rather than diminished. A true soulmate connection will not compete with your growth. It will complement it. There will be mutual curiosity about each other's journeys without pressure to merge identities prematurely. And remember this: recognition does not require certainty about the future. It only requires clarity in the present. You do not need to see 10 years ahead to know that a moment feels aligned. If it is ordained, it will unfold step by step. There will be opportunity for continued conversation. There will be space for development. You will not need to chase or manipulate the process. Above all, measure the encounter by peace. Peace is your compass. Peace is your confirmation. If, after speaking with them, you feel grounded rather than shaken, hopeful rather than doubtful, centered rather than confused, that is a powerful sign. Recognition is rarely loud. It is quiet knowing. It is the absence of chaos. It is the presence of steadiness. When you encounter someone who feels like alignment rather than adrenaline, pay attention. That quiet difference may be the signature of destiny. And if that moment happens within this divinely appointed window, respond with authenticity. Smile naturally. Speak honestly. Be present. Because sometimes, the most life-changing connections begin with the simplest exchange, and only later do you realize heaven was involved all along. When destiny approaches, it rarely arrives without a test. Not a harsh trial meant to make you fail, but a subtle examination of your readiness. If this meeting is truly orchestrated by God, then within the simplicity of the encounter, there will be a quiet decision placed before you, and that decision may determine how the story unfolds. Understand this clearly. Divine blessings are often wrapped in ordinary packaging. The person you meet may not look exactly like what you imagined. The setting may not match your fantasy. The introduction may feel almost too simple. That is intentional. God hides eternal significance inside moments that require spiritual discernment. The test may be as small as this: will you engage, or will you withdraw? When conversation opens, will you respond with openness, or will fear convince you to keep it brief? When eye contact lingers, will you smile, or will you look away quickly to avoid vulnerability? These decisions seem minor, but they carry weight. Many people pray for divine connection, yet when it appears, insecurity rises to block it. You might suddenly hear inner doubts whispering, "You're not ready. You don't look your best." This probably means nothing. That internal resistance is the test. Will you believe fear, or will you trust alignment? Another part of the test is humility. Destiny does not always introduce itself in impressive form. It may come through someone who speaks gently rather than boldly. Someone who does not overwhelm the room but carries quiet confidence. If you are only looking for dramatic charisma, you may overlook deep character. Kindness is also examined in these moments. How do you treat someone in a brief interaction? Are you present? Are you respectful? Are you attentive? The smallest gestures, holding a door, offering a sincere response, maintaining eye contact, can open doors that change your future. There is also a test of patience. Even if the meeting sparks interest, it may not immediately escalate into something obvious. You may exchange only a few words. Perhaps there is a brief introduction and nothing more. The test then becomes this: can you trust the process without forcing it? Can you allow divine timing to continue unfolding rather than rushing it? God often watches how we steward first moments. If you respond with grounded confidence, with grace and composure, you demonstrate readiness. But if you panic internally, overanalyze externally, or attempt to control the narrative, you can disrupt the natural flow. This is why emotional stability is essential. The test is not about perfection. It is about posture. Are you standing in self-worth? Are you walking in healed identity? Or are you still seeking validation? Divine encounters amplify whatever is already inside you. You may also face a subtle logistical test. Perhaps you will have the opportunity to extend the conversation slightly, ask a follow-up question, make a light comment, suggest something simple like continuing the discussion. The opportunity may be small and fleeting. Will you take it, or will hesitation silence you? Faith is rarely dramatic in appearance. It looks like small courage. It looks like a simple hello. It looks like choosing presence over avoidance. The hidden test inside this encounter is whether you will participate in what heaven is arranging. And here is something deeper. Not every divine meeting guarantees immediate recognition from both sides. Sometimes one person senses alignment before the other fully understands it. The test then becomes whether you remain patient and secure, trusting that what is ordained will resurface. As this unfolds, you may feel a mixture of excitement and vulnerability. That is natural. Vulnerability is not weakness, it is openness. But openness must be paired with wisdom. Remain authentic, yet grounded. Express interest, yet maintain dignity. There is also a spiritual test of gratitude. Instead of focusing on outcome, can you appreciate the moment itself? Can you thank God for the opportunity to meet someone new without attaching pressure to it? Gratitude protects your peace. Hold on, because what you do in this brief encounter may echo far beyond today. A small decision could initiate conversations that ripple into weeks, months, even years of shared growth. The simplicity of the moment does not diminish its power. Type "I trust divine timing" in the comments if this resonates with you. Blessing code 826 is now activated over your next conversation. And remember this carefully. What comes next may reveal why this meeting had to happen exactly today. You will be glad you stayed attentive for what is about to unfold. As this sacred test unfolds, understand that your obedience today can become someone else's miracle tomorrow. When you sow into this mission, you help awaken hearts before their divine moments pass unnoticed. The Lord declares, as you plant by the waters, your harvest will not fail. This is your prophetic invitation to act. I am calling you to partner in spreading these life-altering messages through super thanks, membership, or a seed through the PayPal link in the description or the QR code on your screen. Your generosity becomes light in someone's darkness, confirmation in someone's confusion. Do not hesitate when heaven is stirring you to give. As you release your seed, may divine alignment accelerate in your own life. Step forward now and seal this word with action. You may still be asking the question quietly in your heart, why now? Why this day? Why this exact hour? Why not last year when you felt more ready? Why not earlier when loneliness felt heavier? But divine timing does not respond to human impatience. It responds to spiritual completion. And something has recently completed in your life. Seasons shift quietly before they shift visibly. You may not have marked the moment when your previous chapter truly ended, but heaven did. There was a lesson you finally understood, a pattern you finally released, a wound that no longer controlled your reactions. Growth does not always announce itself with celebration. Sometimes it settles in slowly, like maturity you did not notice forming. And once that growth stabilized, timing activated. God's calendar does not move according to your frustration. It moves according to readiness. Not perfection, but readiness. There were parts of you that needed strengthening before partnership could arrive. Your discernment had to sharpen. Your standards had to rise. Your identity had to root itself more deeply in worth rather than fear. If this meeting had happened a year ago, you might have misinterpreted it. You might have sabotaged it unintentionally. You might have accepted less than what was aligned. But now, something is different. You carry yourself differently. You think differently. You respond differently. Even the way you handle disappointment has evolved. That is not accidental. It is preparation meeting opportunity. Divine timing is also above alignment beyond you. The other person's journey had to mature as well. They had lessons to learn. They had closures to experience. They had growth to undergo. Two incomplete seasons cannot form a stable union. Timing waits for parallel readiness. There is also the element of divine protection. Sometimes what feels like delay is actually shielding. God may have been preventing you from meeting too soon, before circumstances stabilized. Imagine if paths had crossed prematurely, before healing had finished its work. The connection might have fractured under unresolved weight. But now, the foundation beneath both of you is stronger. Another reason this is happening now is because your environment has shifted. You may not realize it, but the circles around you have changed. The places you visit, the mindset you carry, the habits you maintain, these small adjustments create new intersections. Destiny often arrives when lifestyle aligns with purpose. You may have recently let go of something that was draining you. A toxic attachment, an unhealthy routine, a mindset of scarcity. That release created space, and heaven does not fill space with emptiness for long. When you clear out what no longer belongs, you make room for what does. Timing also aligns with spiritual momentum. When faith strengthens, doors respond. Perhaps you have been praying differently, believing differently, trusting more deeply even without visible evidence. That shift in posture signals readiness. Faith is not passive, it is magnetic. And here is something profound. Sometimes divine timing accelerates unexpectedly. You may have thought love was years away. You may have resigned yourself to waiting indefinitely. But when alignment completes, acceleration begins. God can compress timelines in ways that surprise you. What seemed distant suddenly becomes near. What felt abstract becomes tangible. If this message resonates in your spirit, respond actively. Comment "I receive" as a declaration that you accept divine timing in your life. Like this video as an agreement with heaven's calendar rather than your own frustration. Share this message with someone who has been wondering if their season is shifting. And subscribe if you desire to stay aligned with prophetic insight that prepares you before opportunities appear. Engagement is not just digital interaction. It is spiritual agreement. Do not underestimate the power of agreement. When you align your words with faith, you reinforce readiness. Timing is not only about external circumstances, it is about internal consent. This moment is happening now because preparation has matured. Protection has completed its assignment. Growth has stabilized. Space has been created. Alignment has synchronized. And perhaps most importantly, you are no longer who you were when you first prayed for this. You have evolved. You had endured. You have refined your understanding of love. That evolution makes this hour possible. Divine timing is not late. It is layered. It waits until both paths can meet without collapse. It waits until peace can sustain connection. It waits until identity is secure enough to build upon. So if you are standing in this 2-hour window wondering why now, The answer is simple, because now you are ready. As powerful as divine orchestration is, there remains one truth you must understand clearly. God opens doors, but He does not drag you through them. Even when heaven aligns timing, proximity, and protection, your response still matters. Within this sacred 2-hour window, there are subtle obstacles that could quietly interfere, not because the appointment is weak, but because free will is strong. The first and most immediate blocker is fear disguised as practicality. Fear rarely announces itself boldly. It does not always say, "I'm afraid." Instead, it whispers reasonable excuses. "You're probably overthinking this. It's better to stay home. You can go out another day." These thoughts sound harmless, even wise. But examine them carefully. Are they rooted in discernment, or are they rooted in avoidance? When destiny approaches, fear often attempts to preserve comfort. Comfort zones feel safe because they are predictable. You know the outcome. You control the environment. But divine appointments frequently require stepping into unscripted moments. 5 miles is not far in distance, yet emotionally it can feel like crossing unfamiliar territory if you have grown used to solitude. If you have learned to guard your heart fiercely, even healthy opportunity may feel threatening. The incident to treat him we strong. Another significant blocker is distraction. In a world saturated with constant notifications, divided attention has become normal. But destiny rarely competes with noise. It waits for awareness. If you move through your surroundings buried in your phone, mentally replaying worries, or emotionally detached, you may overlook subtle signals. A glance held a second longer. A person standing nearby waiting for a moment to speak. A conversation opportunity that requires you to look up. Divine meetings often unfold quietly. They do not force themselves into your focus. That means presence is your responsibility. If your mind is scattered, your awareness weakens. And when awareness weakens, opportunity can pass unnoticed. Negative self-perception is another powerful obstacle. If you internally believe you are unworthy of healthy love, that belief influences your posture, your tone, and your openness. You may subconsciously avoid eye contact. You may shorten conversations. You may project disinterest to protect yourself from imagined rejection. Heaven may declare you ready, but if you disagree with that declaration internally, you create resistance within yourself. There is also the danger of overanalyzing. When you attempt to calculate every possible outcome, rehearse every sentence, or predict every reaction, tension builds. Divine alignment flows through authenticity, not performance. If you are so focused on doing it right that you forget to simply be present, you disrupt natural rhythm. Overthinking can suffocate organic connection. Bitterness from past experiences can quietly block new beginnings. If someone hurt you deeply before, you may carry protective reflexes that activate automatically. For example, if someone shows interest, you might assume hidden motives. If someone is kind, you might question sincerity. Discernment is wise, but constant suspicion is exhausting. Not everyone is a repeat of your past. And if God has refined you through previous lessons, then trust that growth has strengthened your ability to recognize what is healthy. Comparison is another subtle barrier. If you measure every potential connection against unrealistic standards, past relationships, or imagined ideals, you may overlook genuine compatibility. Destiny does not always arrive wrapped in dramatic intensity. Often, it feels stable, calm, and mature. If you are only looking for emotional fireworks, you may miss steady peace. Pride can also interfere. Pride resists vulnerability. It refuses to initiate. It avoids appearing interested first. But sometimes the divine appointment requires you to extend a simple gesture, a smile, a question, a brief introduction. Pride says if it's meant to be, they will come to me. Humility says, I can participate without losing dignity. Emotional instability can become a blocker as well. If unexpected irritation, sadness, or fatigue arises today, be mindful. Not every mood shift is spiritual interference, but some may attempt to disrupt your clarity. Do not let temporary emotion dictate permanent opportunity. Regulate yourself. Breathe. Center your thoughts. Procrastination is another obstacle that feels harmless but carries impact. If you sense a nudge to go somewhere specific and delay it repeatedly, timing can shift. Divine windows are often precise. Delayed obedience may still lead to blessing, but perhaps not within this appointed hour. Control is perhaps the most subtle blocker of all. Trying to force the encounter by chasing every possibility within 5 miles creates chaos. On the other hand, refusing to move at all creates stagnation. The balance lies in responsive faith, moving when prompted, resting when peaceful, engaging when opportunity arises. Understand this clearly. If the appointment is ordained, it does not require perfection from you. It requires willingness. But unwillingness can close what heaven has opened. The greatest barrier between you and alignment is not geography, not timing, not external opposition. It is internal resistance. So examine yourself honestly. Are you open? Are you attentive? Are you prepared to respond rather than retreat? Remove fear before it roots. Silence doubt before it grows. Lift your head. Step out if prompted. Engage if invited. The door is not locked. The path is not blocked. The only remaining question is whether you will walk forward when the moment presents itself. When a divinely orchestrated meeting takes place, the true impact is rarely visible in the first few minutes. Destiny does not always arrive with dramatic music or overwhelming certainty. Often, it slips quietly into your life through what feels like an ordinary interaction. But do not be deceived by simplicity. Some of the most powerful shifts in your future begin in moments that seem small at first glance. If this encounter unfolds within the appointed window, the aftermath will begin internally before it becomes external. You may walk away from the conversation feeling calm, steady, and reflective. Not anxious, not frantic, not obsessively overanalyzing every word. Instead, you may sense a grounded curiosity, a quiet awareness that something about this felt different. That difference matters. One of the first changes you may experience is the return of hope in a way that feels mature rather than desperate. In the past, hope may have felt fragile, easily shaken by disappointment. But this time, hope may rise gently and confidently. You may find yourself smiling unexpectedly later in the day. You may replay the exchange and feel peace rather than pressure. That emotional stability is a powerful indicator that this was not chaos disguised as chemistry. Another shift may occur in your self-perception. A healthy, aligned interaction often reinforces identity instead of destabilizing it. You may realize that you felt comfortable being yourself. You did not need to exaggerate stories. You did not feel compelled to impress. You did not shrink or overextend. That authenticity is significant. When you can show up as your true self without fear of rejection, it signals readiness for something deeper. As hours turn into days, the aftermath may continue to unfold through communication. Perhaps you exchanged contact information. Perhaps there was a promise to continue the conversation. If the connection is mutual and ordained, communication will not feel one-sided. There will be balance. Effort will be reciprocated. Messages will not leave you in confusion. Clarity will replace guesswork. And even if progression moves slowly, do not misinterpret slowness as weakness. Some of the strongest foundations are built gradually. Divine alignment often values depth over speed. Trust the pace. If this connection is meant to expand, it will not require you to chase. It will develop through mutual willingness. Beyond romance, the aftermath can ripple into other areas of your life. Emotional alignment strengthens overall stability. When you experience peace and connection, it influences how you approach work, friendships, and even your spiritual walk. Confidence grows. Decision-making sharpens. You begin to carry yourself with quiet assurance. There may also be healing embedded in the days following the meeting. Old insecurities that once dominated your thoughts may begin to loosen their grip. You might notice that triggers from past relationships no longer have the same intensity. That is not accidental. Heavy interaction exposes unhealthy patterns and helps dissolve them naturally. Gratitude may also become more present in your prayers. Instead of asking, "When will love find me?" you may find yourself saying, "Thank you for aligning what is meant for me." Gratitude shifts your spiritual posture from striving to trusting, and trust stabilizes the future. If this truly marks the beginning of a soulmate journey, you may not recognize its full magnitude immediately. Many lifelong partnerships begin with moments that seem almost forgettable at first. A shared laugh, a brief conversation in an ordinary place, a random meeting that did not feel random later. But here is something equally important. Even if this encounter unfolds differently than you expect, it is not wasted. Divine meetings always serve purpose. Sometimes they initiate long-term relationship. Sometimes they clarify what alignment truly feels like. Sometimes they confirm that you have grown beyond what once attracted you. In every case, you leave changing. The aftermath is not about fantasy. It is about direction. If this meeting is aligned, it will gently guide your next steps. If it is a stepping stone, it will still move you closer to the ultimate promise. Nothing ordained by God dissolves without leaving wisdom behind. Months from now, you may look back at this exact day and recognize it as a turning point. A day when something subtle shifted. The day when hope felt stable again. The day when possibility stopped feeling distant and started feeling tangible. Destiny often begins quietly. The future you have prayed for may not arrive with spectacle, but it will arrive with peace. And peace is the clearest sign that what has begun is built to last. Archangel Michael says your soulmate is currently 5 miles away from your house. God is orchestrating a random meeting in 2 hours. Open this for the location. And now, after everything you have heard, after the preparation, the warnings, the alignment, the tests, and the understanding of divine timing, this is where assurance settles over your spirit. You were not brought to this message by accident. You were positioned here. Whether this meeting unfolds exactly within this 2-hour window or whether it manifests in a way that surprises you, one truth remains unshaken. God is actively involved in your love story. You are not forgotten. You are not delayed beyond repair. You are not disqualified. Archangel Michael stands as a guardian over divine appointments. That means what is meant for you cannot be easily stolen. It cannot be permanently blocked by minor hesitation. It cannot be erased by past mistakes that have already been redeemed. When heaven declares proximity, it signals that movement has already begun. Release anxiety now. You do not need to strive. You do not need to manipulate circumstances. You do not need to chase outcomes. Divine orchestration is not fragile. It is intentional. If this meeting is ordained, it will carry peace. If it is a stepping stone, it will carry wisdom. Either way you advance. There is power in knowing that love aligned by God does not arrive to confuse you, it arrives to confirm you. It strengthens identity rather than threatening it. It builds stability rather than creating chaos. If you walk into this next hour with calm expectation, you position yourself correctly. Faith is not frantic. Faith is steady. Even if fear tried to whisper earlier, it does not have the final word. Even if doubt attempted to question this message, doubt does not cancel destiny. What heaven speaks overrides what insecurity suggests. And heaven has spoken proximity over your life. Remember this clearly. Divine timing is not about pressure. It is about precision. Whether today unfolds dramatically or quietly, your path is not random. God's hand is guiding intersections you cannot fully see. Trust that guidance. If this encounter begins today, let it begin gently. If it unfolds later, trust that preparation continues. Nothing you have invested in growth has been wasted. Every tear, every prayer, every lesson learned has built the foundation for something healthier than what you once accepted. You are stepping into a season where alignment replaces confusion, where peace replaces chaos, where maturity meets maturity. That is not fantasy. It is refinement rewarded. So breathe. Lift your head. Step forward without fear. Remain aware without becoming anxious. And know that whether the meeting happens in the next 2 hours or in the timing God ultimately seals, you are closer than you have ever been before. Type IT is aligned in the comments if you receive this word. Blessing code 903 is now activated over your path, your timing, and your future union. May divine favor surround you. May courage rise within you. May clarity guard your decisions. And may every step you take from this moment forward be covered in protection and purpose. Your story is not behind schedule. It is unfolding with precision. Trust it. As this word settles into your spirit, do not let it end here. When you sow into this mission, you become part of someone else's divine alignment. The Lord declares those who water others will themselves be refreshed. This is not just support. It is participation in spreading confirmation to hearts that are on the edge of breakthrough. I am inviting you to act now through super thanks, membership, or by planting a seed through the PayPal link in the description or the QR code on your screen. Your generosity releases light into unseen places and carries this message further than you may ever know. As you give, may heaven accelerate alignment in your own life. Step into obedience and seal this prophetic moment with action. Stay in faith. Stay prepared. Stay aligned.